Holmes has finished examining the double murders, and now he's going back home.
I had nightmares all night, Holmes. As for you, I bet you didn't get a wink of sleep, did you? It's this chalk message business, isn't it?
Among other things.
And this lunatic is still running free. If only we knew what he looked like.
But we do know, Watson. We have a fairly accurate description.
I must have missed an episode of your adventures, Holmes. Not only have I heard you discredit the value of our eyewitnesses, but the few descriptions we do have don't seem to correspond.
An inaccurate account can regain its value if we can discover why and to what extent the truth must be rewritten. We've learned a great many things tonight, and I'm able to tell you what our man looks like.
Really?
Yes, and we're going to need a few things, Watson. Find me 3 mannequins, my worker's costume, my 3 full wigs, one of your worn garments, yes, that can be used for the workman's outfit, and one of your old suits. Oh, and my deerstalker, the one I never wear, but everyone seems to think I wear day and night.
So that's a funny joke, Sherlock Holmes complaining that everybody thinks he wears a deerstalker cap when he never does. But we saw on the map. On the map, it's a picture of him in a deerstalker cap. So yeah, that's literally the picture leading to your house, Holmes. Maybe that's why everybody thinks you wear a deerstalker cap. Also, Holmes referred to his investigation tonight when he meant to say the investigation the previous night. Of course it was the previous night. How else could Watson have had nightmares all night long? Alrighty, so we're just going to grab a bunch of stuff and we're going to put these clothes together. We're trying to recreate what Jack the Ripper looks like based on eyewitness accounts, even though none of those eyewitness accounts matched. I did like Watson's kind of snarky comment. He was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Holmes. Did I miss something?"
We shall place our mannequins here, Watson.
Was there an adventure that happened when I wasn't around? Because last time I heard, you were insulting the witnesses for being inaccurate. We can also open up this chest here. That gives us another mannequin. Why does Holmes just have so many mannequins just lying around in his house? I don't know. I have no idea. Alright, lots of items here in Holmes's room. What is this?
A wig. This will come in handy.
It's a wig inside a drawer. Makes you wonder why Holmes doesn't wear a wig. Like, he's gone in disguise several times in this game, but it's been the same disguise every time. He never uses a wig. He just puts on a hat. And he also, like, has stubble, so it looks like he's got a beard, hasn't shaved for a couple of days. I wonder if that's fake. Does he wear, like, a fake beard or something? Because I would not put it past him to have a fake beard as part of his disguise. I think I've got everything. I'm a little worried there was something else in that drawer that I missed. So let me go back to the corner here. Yeah, something here? I can't tell. Did Watson get something out of the drawer or not? Like, he moves his hand like he's picking up something. Yeah, okay, maybe that's just the animation of him closing and opening the door. The drawer. Huh. That's strange. I mean, it's strange because I can't open and close this Once I got the item from inside, I can't open and close it again. But with those drawers, you can open and close them again. Alright. Anyway, we found everything. Solved this puzzle. It's going to be a somewhat long, complicated puzzle.
So, as for one of the murders, we have no witnesses whatsoever. As for the three other, we have at least one person who claims to have seen the victims talking to a man a few minutes before their death. Do you remember whom these would be, Watson?
So we had a couple of dialogues. Where do I do that? Okay, I click down here and I pick the dialogues. Okay, so Mitre Square, 7th and 8th. We are going to have that long conversation with Constable Smith. So that's going to be a good document there. And let's see, Abraham gave a long description of the killer as well, although he is giving secondhand evidence from his friend Joseph. And finally, the document, it is going to be somewhere here, right? It is... There's just so much we've picked up over the course of this game. Here we go, the testimony. So, sorry, Akadosh, we don't like your testimony. We like E. Long's testimony. It is a long testimony. And you can tell that you got these items correct because they look fine. If you had selected something incorrect, then there would be a little X button to get rid of it.
Bravo, Watson. There are our three witnesses.
Why did the mannequins change color? Why is that a thing? Okay. Well, now we need to go through the various testimonies. So, Constable said, how old was this person? 30 to 26. So let's go with 26. And then we are going to have Long. I'll just fill in the answers here. Long said 40. And then the other person said 30. Great. Now the height of the murderer. They all disagreed about the height of the murderer as well. Okay, so 5'3" according to Abraham.
Indeed, Watson, that's the right size for Abraham's mannequin. The account given by Mr. Solomonovich's friend is incorrect in at least one point. The first Joseph said that the man was at least 5 foot 7 inches tall. The second Joseph said he was 3 inches taller than the victim, whom we know was 5 feet tall, which would suggest a height of 5 foot 3 inches. Don't forget that it was this second Joseph who attracted his friend's attention towards the couple on the other side of the road. We can assume he got a very good look at them.
When did we learn the height of that victim? I don't remember learning her height, but whatever. Okay, so according to E. Long, it was about 5'3".
As for young P.C. Smith's account, he must have been mistaken about this person's real height. It is only an inch or two after all, and we can attribute the same height as the other two.
Okay, now hold on a second. Only an inch or two? Constable Smith said 5'8". That's not a difference of a few inches. Anyway, so they all need to be the same height is what Holmes is saying. Now we need to dress them correctly according to these testimonies. And you just need to go through his testimonies and figure it out. So he's wearing a short black outfit, small felt hat, like a cap, white collar. Okay, so we are going to put the gray suit. Oh man, this is the tough one. Constable Smith said it's about that suit. Darker hair, he said, correct? And a cap. Which cap?
Excellent. Now, on to the next step.
Next, we need to get Abraham's outfit. So Abraham's outfit is... Oh, all right. So the man taller than the woman. Okay, 30 years old, light complexion, fair mustache, loose dark jacket, gray cap, red scarf. We actually don't have a scarf. That scarf is going to be completely ignored in recreating this. Fine. Fine, let's do that. Okay. So, still had this coat, white cap, and fair hair.
Excellent. Now, on to the next step.
And then finally, Elong. Elong's says a little taller than the person. Deerstalker hat, dark coat, dark hair. Well, it's got to be this coat, right? Because that's the only coat left. Dark hair, and then dark deerstalker cap.
Bravo, Watson. Our mannequins have been recreated based on the correct accounts. Now, Watson, let's see in what ways these statements differ and how the witnesses could have been mistaken. Let's look at these wigs and moustaches. Let's start by taking the first Joseph's testimony, who saw the man head-on in a well-lit spot and in which he noted fair hair. Now, let's consider the same person, but in the lighting and angle of the other two witnesses, in the darkness of night, with poor artificial lighting from above. Put out the light, Watson.
So this is a little overly complicated. Holmes is basically saying, hey, guess what? If somebody has light hair, but it's dark outside, it looks like they have dark hair. Check it out if you don't believe me.
Thus, poor lighting and a backlit subject can affect our perception of shades and colors. The wigs from Abraham's mannequin took on the same color as the other two. The three testimonies, therefore, don't contradict one another, and we can apply the same facial hair to all three mannequins. Turn on the light, Watson.
Yeah, so that's how we can say everybody's agreeing, even though they completely disagreed on the hair color and the clothing. Alright, what's next, Holmes? What's our next step?
Okay, Watson, let's give all of our mannequins the same hair.
I can do that. We want to give them all the fair hair, because that is the most accurate, according to Holmes.
Yes, I have, Holmes.
Well done, Watson. With regards to the murderer's hair, the three witnesses should agree on Abraham's testimony. As Joseph is the only one who saw our man in full light, his hair must therefore be fair. You see, Watson, it is hard to draw objective conclusions when one is an eyewitness to an event. This leads us to reconsider the various statements regarding the supposed age of the man. Even if you are face to face with someone in full light and for a period of several hours, to what extent can you determine their exact age? And even more so if you observe them for only a few seconds and or from behind. We must allow some flexibility when considering our witnesses' statements, but always scientific flexibility.
Okay, I get it, Holmes. You don't trust eyewitnesses. Got that. I find it funny that he's like, well, let's see, we need scientific flexibility here. So he's indicated that we've got a 7 to 10 year flexibility here with this particular witness. So, we need to figure out the possible ages for this person. So let's see, it's gonna be 16, and then 17, 18, and 19. We're basically going up by one every single time. That's how we do that. And here, we're going to go down every single time. So 36, 35, 34, 33. And that's how we account for the ages.
Excellent. Now, on to the next step.
So, like, really, according to this witness, the killer could be anywhere from 16 to 33. Now let's apply this to this witness. This witness is far more reliable. He was the one who saw the culprit most directly, right? Right? Maybe that's why this is the most reliable witness testimony. Well, exact same thing. Left-hand column goes up, right-hand column goes down. So it's going to be 25, 26, 27, whereas the right-hand column goes down. So it's going to be 35, 34, and then 33.
There we are. Magnificent.
Same exact thing over here. So 30, then 31, 32, 33, and then this is going to go down. So 50, 49, 48, 47.
Perfect, Watson.
Yes, I have, Holmes.
Now that we have fully considered the witness accounts, let's see to what extent they agree. If we apply the range of error for each of our dummies, we can deduce the age of our murderer as precisely as possible.
I am still wondering where Holmes got this particular tolerance of years. Why do we know this person is off by 7 to 10 years, and this person is also off by 7 to 10 years, but this guy's only 3 to 5 years? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Holmes just really liked Mr. Solomonich's testimony. Anyway, what is the one age that they all agree on? What shows up in all the testimonies? Well, 33. 33. 33 is the only age that shows up in all three.
Perfect, Watson. Within a margin of 1 year, Watson, the age of our murderer is 33 years.
But the man described by Smith was dressed respectably, whereas the other two were poorly dressed.
Indeed, but Whitechapel's respectively could quite easily describe the Sunday bests that all lower-class men own. Now, let's place ourselves in the shoes of Liz Stride's killer. He has just slain his victim and sees Louis Diemschutz discover her body. Our killer is at great risk if he stays in the area. He therefore gets away from this spot. But he wants to kill again. However, he might have been spotted in the area before having committed the murder by a constable on his round, perhaps, who managed to get his description. What do you think the killer will do?
Well, the killer... I like how we have an option to find an accomplice, because as Holmes indicated previously, the killer had an accomplice who scared off the one witness. But we're not going to ask anything about that accomplice. We're going to pretend that accomplice never existed. Instead, we're going to say that the culprit probably, after being recognized, returned home to a safe location and changed before committing the next murder.
Go back home or to a safe location, change his clothes and leave again in search of another victim.
It's the only possible explanation, Watson. The man returned to the safety of his lodgings and then decided to go out again with new clothes and repeat his sinister nocturnal work. That's how the discrepancies between the witnesses with regards to clothing can be explained.
What a cold-blooded animal.
And what determination! Powerful motives are pushing this man. Thus, we can conclude that the respectable man with the package may very well have been seen by the two Josephs.
Even if it is just a mannequin, it's giving me goosebumps. But have we really made any progress, Holmes? I mean, there must be thousands of men in Whitechapel who match this description, wouldn't you say?
You're right, Watson. We have worked on who, now let's work on where. We need a map of Whitechapel, and please also find me a pencil, 2 compasses, one of which can draw ellipses.
I have to say, it is very specific. Like, somebody with a mustache and fair hair, somebody who is 33 years old and exactly 5'3". There can't be that many people which fit that description in the general area, right? Okay, so we are trying to find the compasses. They are in the corner. I was trying to walk into the corner. Here. There we go. Right here. And we are going to use that on the map, which is not there. I think the map is here.
I am in need of something.
Oh, yeah, I have to pull out the compasses first.
First of all, let's place our 4 murders on this map, as well as the spot where the graffito appeared, and the piece of apron was dropped.
Excellent. Okay, so Polly Nichols. Where was she killed? Bucks Row. So that was the Whitechapel area that we've been to so many times. Right there. Annie Chapman, she was killed pretty... Where was it? Mitre Square? No. She was killed in Hanbury Street. Elizabeth Stride was killed at Dutfield's Yard. Catherine Eddowes was killed in Mitre Square. And then Goulston Street was where we had the graffiti.
Perfect, Watson. Let's connect each crime scene to the one out of the others that is the furthest.
So which two are farthest apart? I'm gonna have to grab my pencil first. Grab my pencil. Draw a line from this one to this one. Those two are pretty far apart. And these two are pretty far apart.
You see, Watson, the murders aren't grouped together, but seem to be spread out like cardinal points around a central zone. The killer obviously wanted to avoid returning to the previous scenes of his crimes, assuming that they would be more closely watched, or that he could be recognized.
So the killer lives at the centre of this cross?
In the vicinity, most certainly, but how near? We cannot afford to get it wrong. If you concentrate, Watson, you will notice that the murders are roughly equidistant from the intersection point of the diagonals. Let's focus on the night of the double murder. Remember, Watson, it took us 20 minutes to get from Dutfield's Yard to Mitre Square. Let's draw a line from one to the other.
Takes about 20 minutes if you're going directly.
Perfect. We didn't make the trip as the crow flies, but that would not harm our estimate. Let's suppose the killer left Dutfield's Yard at 1 a.m. and arrived in Mitre Square at 1:35 a.m. when he was seen by the two Josephs. If he took 5 minutes to change his clothes, that leaves a range of 10 minutes to determine where this man's lodgings are. We must determine the area in which one can go from Dutfield's Yard to Mitre Square in less than half an hour. To do this, let's draw an ellipsis. The length between Dutfield's Yard and Mitre Square corresponds to 20 minutes. By adding half, we get a distance of 30 minutes. By taking the two right segments, each starting from the two murder scenes, and which the sum of the lengths makes 30 minutes, we get our ellipses.
Holmes completely over-explained the situation. So basically, the culprit went from here to there on the night of the double murder. If the culprit lived here, the culprit could not have gone home to change and then arrived at the scene of the other murder in time. There just wasn't enough time for that. So we're trying to draw an ellipsis here, which will show basically where the culprit could live. So about halfway in between this area. Halfway in between. So here is this the center spot? And I'm going to go right, and you can see I've made an ellipsis. Oh dear, that wasn't correct at all. So let's see, maybe the starting spot was here? Yeah, there we go. So we make an ellipsis, which covers both locations. See, it goes through both circles. So here's a problem with the game. That's supposed to be the correct solution. That, in fact, is the correct solution. You want to make an ellipsis that goes through both of these circles. But several versions of this game are glitched, so that's not the solution. The correct solution is this. You have the same starting point, but you have to go over 1, 2, 3. You have to go over 3 streets.
There
like
we
that.
are, Watson. Our killer lives in this area.
It's still rather a vast area, Holmes.
Yes, indeed. And our goal is to reduce this area as much as we can. We must consider the fact that the murder at Mitre Square was committed under a certain amount of pressure, given that the killer knew he was wanted for the acts he committed not long before. We can assume that he had to do it in a safe zone, that is, an area not far from where he lives. This is especially true of an act such as the graffiti he carried out after 2 murders. Let's trace a circle around this point, with the distance separating it from Mitre Square as the radius. This will enable us to determine our killer's safe zone.
So the fact that the ellipsis was completely wrong was something that got me very, very stuck and got a lot of people very stuck, because that's the solution the game accepts, even though it is the wrong solution. That is very frustrating. So now we're going to pick up the compass here, and as Holmes indicated, we're going to try to draw a circle, just a straight circle, from the graffiti area to the 4th murder, because the culprit went from the 4th murder to the graffiti area. So this circle looks like this.
Our killer must surely live inside this circle. Now, let's intersect it with the ellipsis that we previously determined.
Yes, so Holmes is deciding, hey, what's the area that's in common? This area.
There we are, Watson, the Aldgate district.
Shouldn't we inform the police so that they can concentrate their efforts on this area of Whitechapel?
It is probably already crawling with inspectors, Watson, and I doubt that they would take us seriously, even if they were willing to listen to what we had to say. Let's focus instead on understanding the killer's modus operandi. We know our murderer preys on prostitutes who are penniless, weak, sick, or alcoholic, that he distracts them the moment before killing them, and that he left an anonymous message inciting anti-Semitic hatred at the entrance of a building occupied by Jews. How would you describe this man?
What a coward!
Indeed, he is a person of great cowardice. Let's look at his murders, and in particular, the depredations on the corpses, putting aside that of Liz Stride, because on that occasion his work was left unfinished. If we recall the observations made on the victims and the parts that were mutilated or damaged on each of the bodies, without forgetting the fact that he also removed one or more organs, we can ascertain that our killer evolves during the course of the murders, cowardly and still evolving. And yet, look at the location of our first murder, that of Polly Nichols in Bucks Row. It is the most distant from the area our killer would appear to live. Perhaps this murder was preceded by another within the killer's area. I believe a cowardly killer would commit his first murder in an area close to his home, in order to find refuge as quickly as possible on carrying out the act.
Holmes, an idea just occurred to me that fills me with dread. This evolution of which you speak.
He will pursue his next victim as long as the conditions permit him to continue killing, Watson.
But how could one go even further in this horror? Look at what he did to that woman, Catherine Eddowes.
In order to avoid having to answer that question, we must act with haste and planning. Watson, I suggest you inform yourself on the mutilations sustained by the victims. We played with the idea that this could be an act of vengeance against prostitutes. If the mutilations correspond to areas affected by a specific pathology, perhaps the killer wanted to give an eye for an affliction he felt the prostitutes he knew were responsible for.
And this trail leading to Dr. Tumblety, Holmes?
I also have a few things to look into in the meantime. I still have a primary witness to track down, not to mention old trails I've yet to pursue. See you soon, Watson. When we first spoke about the Bucks Row murder with Watson, he was reading a newspaper, The Star, dated September 1st, 1888, I believe, which mentioned similar murders in the preceding months. I have no chance of finding the police reports, but perhaps I could find some information at the Central News Agency. I must go there at once. Afterwards, I'll go back to see Abraham, the owner of the pet shop in Whitechapel. The second Joseph's statement would lead me to believe that he may know the man spotted on the corner of Church Passage that night. If that's the case, I must find this witness so I can question him.
So we've still got a lot to talk about, a lot of investigation left over. We need to figure out, hey, what's with the mutilations on the corpses? What's with Joseph? Does Joseph have additional testimony? We still haven't met Dr. Tumblety. And those original murders, where exactly is that document? I think that was the very first document. Yes, the very first document we received. So it says the first victim of Jack the Ripper, the first victim, Polly, she was actually the third person. It's the victim of the latest horror. She was actually the third victim. There are 2 women that were killed before her. So that is something which we probably should have looked into a long time ago. If she was actually victim number 3, then why did everybody treat her like victim number 1 the whole time? I don't get it. In any case, Holmes will be looking into that. He's going to look into the 2 previous victims and see if maybe one of them is a victim of Jack the Ripper.